que nous avons préparé avec les Ukrainiens et plusieurs autres partenaires européens et que j'ai été défendre Notre dissuasion nucléaire nous protège. Elle est complète, souveraine, française de bout en bout.
French Mirage 2000s soar in the sky. AESM hammer bombs locked on target. On Ukrainian soil, Caesar howitzers pound Russian positions with rapid fire. SCALP missiles sneak behind the trenches, while Milan anti-tank systems stop every armoured threat before it gets close. Mistral air defence missiles instantly knock down low-altitude fighters. And behind all these systems, with a quiet but profound effect, France rises. They are not just sending weapons. They are giving Ukraine capability, resilience, and precision strike power. Now is the time to understand what France is really doing in this war. Known for its professionalism and adaptability, the French military has emerged as a critical partner in Ukraine's defence against Russian aggression. Through extensive training missions, significant material support, and a growing commitment to NATO's eastern flank, France is proving to be a loyal ally. With around 115,000 active personnel and a strong reserve, the French army is a highly mobile, technologically advanced force designed for rapid deployment and continuous operations. With decades of operations in Africa, the Middle East and Eastern Europe, its understanding of mobilization is well suited to support Ukraine's defense needs. The Army's mechanized brigades have emphasized speed, firepower and interoperability with NATO allies in recent exercises such as Perseus with Leclerc main battle tanks, VBCI infantry fighting vehicles and Caesar self-propelled howitzer. The exercises in January 2025 show France's focus on modern warfare, including drone tactics and rapid responses to large-scale attacks. Drawing lessons from Ukraine's battlefield experience, the exercises involve 3,200 soldiers simulating defense against a Russian-style attack from Belarus. The exercises also showcased France's ability to deploy battalion-sized forces through its fleet of 400 melt transport aircraft. Since 2022, France has trained around 10,000 Ukrainian soldiers, primarily in France and Poland, focusing on combined arms tactics, artillery operations, and maintenance of Western-supplied equipment. The training programs emphasize the use of French systems such as the Caesar howitzer and the AMX-10 RC wheeled tank, enabling Ukrainian forces to maximize their operational effectiveness. In October 2022, France committed to train 1,200 Ukrainian soldiers in France and link them to French troops for weeks of intensive training. By January 2023, this effort had expanded with the deployment of 150 French trainers to Poland to train up to 600 Ukrainian soldiers each month. These programs have not only increased Ukraine's combat capabilities, but have also promoted interoperability, bringing Ukrainian forces in line with NATO standards, a critical step for future integration into NATO. The French approach prioritizes sustainability. Defense Minister Sébastien Lecornu put it succinctly: "It is good to have a soldier on a weapon. It is even better to have a technician working with it." The focus on training technicians and logisticians enables Ukrainian forces to maintain and repair complex systems such as the Caesar and Mistral air defence missiles, extending their life on the battlefield. France's training missions are a force multiplier, enabling Ukraine to have a more professional and NATO-compatible army. This is crucial to counter Russia's numerical advantages. France has supplied Ukraine with a wide range of weapons, from artillery to air defence systems. Between February 2022 and December 2023, France delivered 30 Caesar, 155mm self-propelled howitzers, and promised 6 more in 2025. These mobile precision artillery systems proved devastating in counter-battery fire, taking advantage of their 40-kilometre range to hit Russian artillery and command posts. Ukrainian crews praised Caesar's mobility, which allows for rapid repositioning to evade Russian drones and counterattacks. Caesar is good at a few things. One of them is shooting and dodging. Its integration with NATO standard 155mm rounds, including precision-guided rounds such as Excalibur, capable of single-shot, one-kill fire missions, makes Caesar the cornerstone of Ukraine's counter-battery operations. The French also supplied 38 AMX-10 RC light armoured vehicles equipped with 105mm cannons. These wheeled tanks excel in fast manoeuvres, providing Ukrainian forces with mobile firepower to hit Russian armour in fortified positions. Although less heavily armoured than main battle tanks, the AMX's speed and versatility have been effective in hit-and-run tactics. French-designed air defence systems are also critical. Paris provided the Mistral man-portable air defence systems, MANPADS, and two Croatal short and medium-range air defence complexes. Mistral's infrared-guided missiles have shot down both Russian drones and low-flying helicopters. Croatal, or Rattlesnake, has strengthened Ukraine's ability to counter Russian cruise missiles and airstrikes targeting Ukrainian cities and civilians. These systems are particularly effective in protecting critical infrastructure, but their limited numbers limit their strategic impact. The SCALP EG cruise missiles supplied by France have enabled the Ukrainian Air Force to punch above its weight. Delivered for use on Ukraine's Su-24 aircraft, they have now been integrated into French-supplied Mirage 2005F jets. Paris has provided low observable SCALPs, and they are doing a good job. With a range of 250 kilometers, the SCALP enables precision strikes on Russian logistics centers, airfields, and command centers. Ukraine's strikes using SCALP missiles have disrupted Russian RIO operations, specifically targeting air bases, command centers, and targets in occupied territories. While the SCALP's stealth and accuracy make them a high-value asset, their effectiveness depends on Ukraine's ability to maintain the air operating environments authorized for their launch platforms. Two other French high-tech weapons make the difference: Milan anti-tank missiles and AASM Hammer guided bombs. With a range of 2,000 meters and wire-guided precision, the Milan has been deadly effective against Russian armored vehicles. The Milan's shape-loaded warhead can defeat the armor of any main battle tank and penetrate more than 500 millimeters of rolled steel armor. But the star of the show is the AASM Hammer, a French-designed precision-guided bomb. This weapon enhances Ukraine's air-to-surface capabilities, allowing fortified positions to be attacked with minimal collateral damage. Dozens of war videos show the hammer striking bridges, weapons storage areas, Russian troops, command centers, and other targets with lethal effect. Both systems have proven reliable, but their effectiveness is constrained by supply limitations. Ukraine needs more. These weapons have collectively reduced Russia's operational capacity, especially in artillery duels and rear area logistics. But Ukraine's need for greater quantities and reliable, uninterrupted supplies of ammunition and spare parts remains a challenge, especially as Russian forces adapt to advanced electronic warfare and drone tactics. France's $200 million military fund, renewed in 2023, allows Ukraine to procure additional equipment directly from French manufacturers. Addressing some of these shortcomings, the French air and space forces operate a modern fleet of around 137 combat aircraft, including 48 Rafale multi-role fighters and 250 upgraded Mirage 2000DS. France aims to expand its air force under the 2024-2030 Military Programming Act, with a target of 20 to 30 fighter aircraft by 185. The Rafale, a 4.5 generation attack aircraft with maritime capability, is among NATO's most advanced platforms capable of air superiority, ground attack, and reconnaissance missions. Equipped with the RBE-2 ESA radar and Meteor Beyond Visual Line of Sight missiles, the Rafale can engage multiple targets simultaneously, making it a formidable asset against the Russian Su-35s and Russia's Kinzhal-fired MiG-30s. The older Mirage 2005F remains a capable air defence platform with its RDY radar and Fox 3 fire-and-forget Mika missiles. France has significantly supported NATO's eastern flank since the Russian invasion in 2022. The French Air Force conducts regular policing missions in the Baltic and deploys Mirage 2000s in Lithuania and Rafales for Black Sea patrols. In March 2025, 2 Rafale aircraft carried out a provocative reconnaissance mission over the Black Sea, approaching Russian-controlled airspace near Crimea and sending a clear signal of NATO's resolve. France also maintains AWAC airborne radar platforms to monitor Russian air activity, increasing situational awareness for NATO's Air Shield mission. Land deployments in Romania and Estonia, and maritime patrols in the Baltic and Mediterranean further demonstrate France's commitment to collective defence. As the situation on NATO's eastern flank remains tight, France is likely to expand deployments and increase air patrols, including the deployment of additional Rafale and Mirage 2000s in Poland, Romania, and the Baltic states to deter Russian airstrikes. France will also hold joint exercises and lead NATO exercises such as Steadfast Defender in 2024 to increase interoperability with Eastern allies, drawing on lessons learned from Ukraine's air defence tactics. It will also increase its logistical support by providing A400 Met transports and KC-135 tankers to support rapid deployment of troops and equipment to NATO's eastern borders. France is also a participant in the Sky Shield initiative, contributing aircraft to the proposed European Air Defence Coalition for Ukraine, protecting civilian infrastructure and freeing Ukrainian assets for offensive operations. France's ability to project air power and coordinate with NATO allies makes it an important fulcrum in deterring Russian aggression beyond Ukraine's borders. France has committed to supply Ukraine with up to 12 Mirage 2005 F fighters, 6 of which will be delivered by February 2025, offering Ukraine a significant upgrade over its aging MiG-29 and Su-27. The Mirage 2000's Thales radar provides superior target detection, while its agility and range of 1,500 kilometers with drop tanks enable complex strike missions, including deep penetration and air defense patrols. However, its limited range while carrying bombs makes it vulnerable to Russian surface-to-air missiles and close to the front lines. This requires careful mission planning. The effectiveness of the Mirage 2000 in Ukraine lies in its versatility for air defense missions. The Mika missiles have enabled engagements beyond visual range against Russian fighters and drones. As an attack platform, SCALP EG missiles allow Ukraine to target Russian infrastructure far behind the zero line, disrupting logistics in close air support missions and precision ground attacks. Hammer bombs support ground assaults by providing accurate strikes against fortified positions. Additional Mirage 2000 variants, such as the 2000D, could potentially be transferred. However, this would require more pilot training and logistical support. The Rafale, while a superior platform, is unlikely to be procured due to its critical role in French defence and its very high operational costs. The transfer of the Mirage 2005 FS has already strained France's readiness and reduced its operational fleet below the 185 aircraft target, emphasising the strategic weight of France's commitment to Ukraine. France's military support to Ukraine through training, advanced weaponry and air power has significantly enhanced Kyiv's ability to counter Russian aggression. The French military's training missions professionalized Ukrainian forces, while systems such as the Caesar, SCALP, EG, and Mirage 2005F delivered tangible results on the battlefield. The capabilities of the French Air Force, especially in the Rafale and Mirage squadrons, reinforce NATO's eastern flank and deter Russian escalation through strong air patrols and joint exercises. The Mirage 2000 has been a game-changer for Ukraine with its multi-role capability, but its effectiveness depends on continued Western support from the United States and the United States in terms of ammunition and maintenance. And France's contribution to Ukraine's defence is becoming increasingly important as it becomes an increasingly unstable and unreliable partner. Moreover, While offering unlimited support to Ukraine, France is hardening its stance against Russia through sanctions. French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot announced that the European Union's 17th package of sanctions against Russia is now in its final stages, emphasizing that the main obstacle to resolving the war in Ukraine is Kremlin leader Vladimir Putin himself. In a wide-ranging interview with the French press, Barrot said Europe was sending a clear message to Moscow, not only economically, but also with political determination. We Europeans will strongly accompany the new sanctions initiatives of the United States of America with our own 17th package of sanctions, Barrot said, underlining that Washington and Brussels will coordinate both the content and the timing of these sanctions. Barrot said he had met with Lindsey Graham of the US Senate and agreed on new steps, in particular energy embargoes against Russia and additional tariffs on energy purchasers. Noting Europe's efforts to rapidly end its dependence on Russian energy imports, the minister said that this process is not only an economic but also a geopolitical restructuring. The French minister also said, "It is now very clear Vladimir Putin is the only obstacle to peace in Ukraine," the French minister said, taking direct aim at the Kremlin. All 27 EU member states agree that the current sanctions against Russia will not be lifted until Putin's government withdraws unconditionally from Ukraine. Barrot's statements show Europe's determination to impose a heavy siege on Moscow, not only through diplomatic efforts, but also through economic pressure. The 17th sanctions package, expected to be announced in the near future, aims to further isolate the Kremlin by targeting Russia's energy, financial, transport, and high-tech sectors. In addition, France stands against Russia with its nuclear deterrent. Recall that in February 2020, French President Emmanuel Macron said it was time to think about the European dimension of the French nuclear deterrent. He proposed a strategic dialogue between European partners and joint nuclear exercises. 5 years later, Germany's Chancellor Friedrich Merz responded to this call, advocating the extension of the French nuclear umbrella to Germany. But does France have the capacity to defend Europe? Will the deployment of the French nuclear umbrella in Eastern Europe make Europe strategically autonomous and allow it to defend itself independently? France initially developed its nuclear arsenal in response to the threat of Soviet invasion and to avoid any dependence on the United States. According to a consistent doctrine, regularly reaffirmed by political leaders, the state would use its strategic arsenal by air and submarine in the event of an attack on its vital interests. France has a total of 290 nuclear warheads, while Russia has at least 1,600 deployed warheads and about 2,800 stockpiled. Of course, the explosive power of thermonuclear warheads, combined with the range of the French M51 strategic sea-land ballistic missile, would make it possible to destroy the main cities of Russia, including Moscow. However, according to an estimate made on Russian television about the Satan II thermonuclear missiles, it would only take 200 seconds for the Russians to destroy Paris with an atomic bomb. These scenarios evoke the spectre of adversaries destroying enemy cities in a piecemeal atomic exchange, where Russia could rely on its vastness to win through attrition. This potential for reciprocity should be kept in mind in the midst of the mutual bet on nuclear deterrence. A partnership with the United Kingdom could be considered to increase the effectiveness of French nuclear deterrence. A nuclear power since 1952, London now has only submarine-launched ballistic missiles and has decided to increase its arsenal to 260 warheads since Brexit. But despite their common interests, these two European nuclear powers are not equivalent. Unlike the UK, which is a member of NATO's nuclear planning group and whose warheads are designed in the US, France produces its weapons on its own territory and is not subject to any NATO obligation. This gives Paris great leeway in defining its doctrine. France can also speak for the European Union, of which it has been a part since its creation. Merz's call for the extension of the French nuclear umbrella to Germany coincides with Paris's proposal for a dialogue involving Europeans in a common approach. As France's defence minister has pointed out, the precise definition of vital interests depends on the president. However, The use of nuclear weapons to protect Europe requires a strategic debate to define the force to be acquired, the interest to be defended, and the method of commanding nuclear fire. Moving towards the Europeanization of the nuclear force means increasing deterrence capacities and thus expanding the French arsenal so that it can respond to threats affecting all 27 EU member states. This requires the creation of additional stocks of fissile material and the reactivation of the production facilities at Pierre-Latte and Marcoule, which were decommissioned in the late 1990s. Increasing power will take time and will require a budgetary effort to increase the number of missiles and carrier aircraft. In addition to the construction of new infrastructure in the European partner countries, the cost could exceed $10 billion per year, excluding indirect costs related to maintenance and logistics. This is a lot to take into account, especially as the political and strategic offer of extended nuclear protection varies according to circumstances. The French nuclear umbrella will give concrete shape to Europe's strategic autonomy through the deployment of nuclear-capable combat aircraft. It will be a demonstration of European political solidarity, but it will make Moscow's calculations more difficult. Thank you for watching.